All right, welcome back, architects. So, in our last couple of explainers, we really laid the groundwork. We got the foundation poured with Pillar 1, giving the AI a clear role. Then, we drew up that perfect blueprint with Pillar 2, crafting those super precise instructions. But here's the thing. You can have the best blueprint and the world's greatest builder, but it all means nothing if you're building with bad materials. So, let's just kick things off with a really important question. Which one of these do you think gives you a better result? On one side, you've got these absolutely perfect, flawlessly engineered instructions from Pillar 2, but they're working with a big pile of messy, unstructured data. On the other side, you've got instructions that are just, good, solid, but they're working with clean, perfectly structured data. The answer is the key, and I mean the key, to unlocking reliable, world-class results from AI. Let's break down exactly why.
We've all been there. You've spent real time carefully crafting what you think is a perfect prompt. You've set the role, you followed Pillar 1. You are a senior market analyst. You've written these incredibly precise instructions with a clear what, how, and why, just like we talked about in Pillar 2. You hit enter, you're feeling good, and the output is just weird. It's totally disconnected from reality. And that, right there, is the architect's biggest blind spot. We get so focused on the blueprint that we completely forget to check the quality of our building materials.
And bam, you get something like this, a weird hallucination. It sounds so confident, doesn't it? For a split second, you almost believe it. And it is completely, utterly wrong. Now, this isn't just a simple mistake. It's a full-on structural failure. This is your building collapsing, not because the blueprint was bad, but because the concrete was mixed with sand and sawdust. And that one confident error, it can poison an entire report, totally erode your trust in the tool, and send you on a wild goose chase, trying to verify a fact that was never even real to begin with.
And that leads to this. This kind of output, it is the greatest enemy of productivity. It just forces you into that frustrating loop of editing, reprompting, guessing what went wrong. You start to second guess every single thing the AI says, which creates this kind of trust tax. All that extra time and mental energy you have to spend fact-checking everything. And pretty soon you realize you're spending more time fixing the AI's work than it would have taken to just do it yourself. But what if we could stop this from ever happening? What if we could engineer reliability right from the start?
Well, this brings us to the solution. Pillar 3. This is where we make a huge shift in our focus. We stop obsessing only on the instructions, our blueprint from Pillar 2, and we start obsessing over the quality, the clarity, and the structure of our raw materials, the specific data we give the AI to work with. And believe me, this is a total game changer.
So, what is Pillar 3 exactly? Well, it's the specific context the AI needs to actually follow your directive accurately. It's the meeting transcript you want it to summarize, or the quarterly sales data you need it to analyze. It's the customer feedback emails you want it to classify, or the legal contract you need simplified. See, without this material, the AI has no choice but to guess. It has to fall back on its huge but very general training data, which, by the way, might be years out of date or totally irrelevant to your industry. Pillar 3 is how you provide the ground truth.
Okay, so this is the crucial question, right? How do we hand these materials over to our expert builder, the AI, in a way that's clean, safe, and just impossible for it to misinterpret? How do we make sure it builds with our materials and only our materials instead of just grabbing random stuff from its memory and making things up?
The answer is all about architecting a clean input with perfect structural integrity. And there is one essential technique that just changes everything. It's so simple to do, but it has a massive impact on the AI's behavior. It's really the first step to taking back control. And this technique is all about creating structure, just like you see here. You use what are called delimiters to build a clean, unmistakable boundary between your instructions and your data. Now, you could use triple quotes, that works, but honestly, what's even better is a really clear visual separator that a person would just never use in normal text, like a series of hash marks. This one simple act basically tells the AI, hey, everything above this line is what you need to do. Everything below this line is the material you need to work with. This separation is so critical, it stops the AI from getting confused and thinking a sentence in your source article is actually one of its instructions.
That right there is a huge cause of hallucinations, and this simple boundary helps shut it down. Now, beyond that boundary, best practices really call for some quality control. First, clearly label your input fields, just like you'd label files in a folder. Instead of just pasting a block of text, you'd write article text right before it. It just adds another layer of clarity. Second, you gotta prune irrelevant information. If you give the AI a 10-page report, but you only need it to focus on the executive summary, just give it the summary. All that extra unnecessary text just dilutes the AI's attention. And for really big documents, like an entire book or a technical manual, you can't just paste it all in. That's where an advanced method called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, comes into play. Think of it like giving the AI a perfectly indexed library instead of one giant messy book. A RAG system finds the most relevant pages related to your query, and then it only gives those specific passages to the AI as context. This keeps the input focused, fast, and incredibly accurate.
So why is this level of organization so important? Well, because mastering your input isn't just about being neat. It's the cognitive foundation of reliability. This is how you go from being a passive user who just kind of rolls the dice and hopes for a good result, to being an active architect who engineers specific, predictable outcomes that are actually tied to reality.
And the payoff for doing this? It's not just a feeling, it's measurable. Research from all over the field consistently shows that when you provide high-quality, relevant, clearly separated input, you can slash those frustrating, productivity-killing hallucinations by 30 to 50%. Let that sink in for a second. Up to half of all those random incorrect outputs can be just gone, simply by being deliberate about the data you provide. Grounding the AI in your facts is the single most effective defense against it making things up. So, the first big benefit is ensuring absolute relevance and fidelity. When you provide clean input, you are forcing the AI to create its output directly from the information you give it. For example, if you ask it to summarize a new legal ruling without giving it the text, it might pull from its general knowledge of older, similar cases. But if you provide the full text of that ruling as your Pillar 3 input, its summary will have high fidelity. It's going to be a true reflection of your source material, not a guess based on old data. This is also how you get specific, actionable answers. Your input is the context that separates a generic textbook response from one that's perfectly tailored to your unique situation. For instance, asking for marketing slogans gets you generic ideas. But asking for slogans while providing your company's mission statement, your target audience, and key product features as your Pillar 3 input, well, that's how you get slogans that are sharp, relevant, and actually useful. You're helping the model activate the most relevant parts of its brain and apply it directly to your world. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? We need to fundamentally change how we think about the data we give to an AI. It is not an afterthought. It's not just the stuff we're working on. It's a core, non-negotiable architectural component of any high-quality prompt. It's not just filler. It's not just some optional context. Your input data is a load-bearing wall in your architectural blueprint. And if that wall is weak, or it's cracked, or it's built with bad materials, the entire structure of your output is going to be unstable, no matter how brilliant your instructions are. When you take the time to consciously structure, clean, and clearly delimit your input, you eliminate the AI's need to guess. You remove the ambiguity that leads it right down the path to hallucination. By mastering this, you guarantee that your engineered instructions from Pillar 2, carried out by the expert you hired in Pillar 1, produce results that are relevant, accurate, and reliably grounded in your reality. You're no longer just asking questions and hoping for the best. You are now the architect. You have the full blueprint. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?